I know you're dealing with problems and I'm dealing with problems and we're both trying to like battle each other.
Yeah.
Because you're like, give me money. And then you're like, I'm trying to save money. I don't want to give you money, right? If you didn't have the skills and capacity to do this before, I don't think you're going to do better when AI exists anyways, right? It's like AI is just a tool to add on to what you're doing right now, and it's like allows us to iterate faster and allows us to like think broader and like more specific as well. They charge $40,000+.
Oh my God, dude.
Plus their stay, plus everything is covered, all these things. There's someone out there that is willing to reach out and talk to Lululemon and be like, what do you need? I will figure this out and I will make it happen. Are you constantly stuck at $500 projects, constantly getting ghosted when you want to raise your rates? Or maybe you're just doing jobs that you absolutely hate and you want to go into an industry that actually excites you and finding people that actually want to give you projects that you're excited to shoot. Today, we're going to talk about how to actually find those right clients and get paid for the things that you love to do. And we're actually going to talk about the different paths that you can take to get there. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to actually find the right clients that will pay the right amount of money for the jobs that you do. So let's dive right into it. As always, we have Juanjo here and myself, Jason. I'm a co-founder of Tenfold Production, and we're going to talk about money. So what do you think?
So I remember back in the day, I used to be so scared to raise my rates.
Give an example.
For example, like usually I would do like recap videos and jobs like that for like $500, right?
Yeah.
And that's what me and the client initially agreed on.
Yeah.
And the next time a job came around, I would think back to the last job that I did and be like, oh man, that job took a lot out of me. It was a lot of energy, took a long time to edit. I had to get a bunch of other camera dudes to record it with me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was left with no money.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would like more money this time around, right?
Yeah.
So I would give them a little push. I'd be like, actually, this time I'm going to charge you $1,000. And then nothing.
Yeah.
Ghosted. Yeah.
Yeah.
They went with someone else and then they did like a worse job. But whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. You don't care. Clearly, it doesn't matter.
I don't care. But regardless, have you ever been in that situation? Because I feel like it's such a universal thing.
Yeah. I think everyone goes through this. And then it's a misunderstanding of like how you spend your time and how you network and who you know. Because when it comes to projects like that, if $500 is the top limit for these people, they're not going to go over it. It's very rare you're going to be able to push them past that phase unless you can really solve something for them or really show them how much you can change their world.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's easier to just find people that care a little bit more. And it's easy to say, right? Oh, just find someone that pays more money. But the question is, how do you actually do that?
Yeah. Because I remember like I had this mindset of being like, if this video looks better, if it's way sicker and the edits are way cooler and I use a nicer camera, then the client's going to be like, well, obviously I should pay this guy more money.
Yeah. Well, the easy example too is I used to sell $500 videos and there were people around me in the industry selling very similar things. With same cameras, same everything, same access, whatever. And they were selling it for like $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 for the same thing.
Whoa.
And I'm like, there's no way. Why would they? Well, there's no way you deserve more than that than we do, because we can do a better job than you. And like that whole like we can do a better job than you thing is such a scarcity mindset thing.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that like there's not enough jobs out there, so I have to beat someone else out to get there, and you might not even have that access, right? Like that person has talked to someone, has a relationship there, and they can pitch that number. And it's not a 1-for-1 or comparison here. You're arbitrarily faking this moment of like, if I was in that position, I would charge less and I could do a better job.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that person even has the opportunity to pitch that number because they're going out and doing something different than you are. So I think a lot of people come to, a lot of our students and stuff that we talk about when it comes to money and sales, that it's not about the camera. And you're going to hear this from like a billion different people because it's like business strategy for video. And then there's like people that just do pure commercials like us, and like people that do in between and run a production business, but they just sell like corporate work and whatever it is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all the same, right? It's like, can you find a solution for these people that are wanting video, right? There's this expectation in the world that, oh, everyone needs video. And every video guru, whoever it is too, is going to be like, you need to sell video, you need to sell a solution, blah, 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 blah. There's so many different variations of this though. Because in our world, we get brought on for projects to execute on a creative idea that's already built by an agency. So the agency's already been working for this idea for such a long time. They're not finding someone that can execute this, someone they can trust and they put their money behind, right? And then you just go and execute it. I'm not really solving the solution in this case. I am in this is like a very small pocket though, just the production side.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, when you first start out, you're doing a bit of everything.
Mm.
And so you become the marketing person as well as the person that delivers it. And then you're like, okay, what now? Right. And so a lot of these smaller projects, you do a bit of each, and then the solution there is you have to provide more somehow.
Yeah.
When it comes to a little bit more higher scale, your solution is like how well you can execute on something. There's a really fun middle ground where you can find better clients that give you more creative control and to give you more money. And that sounds like the dream.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the best of all worlds. There's only like one or two ways you can really get there. And the one way you do that is through spec. And the other way is through spec plus networking. And so in a real way, it's kind of just doing it all, right? It's like doing both of them. A lot of people do spec, but they don't know how to market it. Some people could do the marketing, but they don't have the work to back it up. They don't have the spec, or they don't have anything to do behind the scenes to show that like we are really good. So, the people in this industry that win out are really the people that know more people and can market better and can sell a solution really.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the conversation. I wanted to invite you to check out our new course, The Pre-Production Playbook. This is my entire pre-production process, all the way from director alignment to the day before your shoot. Check out the link in the description to find out more, and let's get back to the conversation.
So let's rein it back to the scenario.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're trying to pitch higher numbers to a client that's not going to budge,
Yes.
obviously means you're probably exceeding their budget.
Correct.
And they just don't have more money to pay you.
Yeah.
No matter how good of a job you do.
Yeah.
So when you're in that scenario, right, you just negotiated.
Yeah.
It's $500 again, surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you're just sick of it. Like, either you're not getting paid enough, it's not sustainable, or maybe like it's just not what you want to do. Like, you're falling out of love with it.
Yeah.
But, if you were in that situation, what would be like the first thing you would do to get the ball rolling into something bigger and better?
Yeah. Bigger comes from doing something different.
Mm.
And it's doing something different consistently enough that people start to recognize it. And so you can try to sell this try to sell this $1,000 package to this $500 client over and over and over again. All that's going to happen is like, they're going to start being like, they're never going to pay that price. So I'm just going to find someone immediately right after.
Yeah.
Right. And then the mindset before was, oh man, I'm going to lose a client. I need to go back down to that $500. And then you get pulled into that trap again. Like the most common thing ever.
It's like a toxic ex.
It's a super toxic. Yeah.
Like, I swear I'll change, baby.
Yeah. Like, and then you come back, you're like, I just had the worst experience. Why am I here again?
Yeah.
But then it feels like you can't escape the trap. And that's the mental barrier that a lot of people go through. We've had it every time. And we're like, when I used to work at like barbershop videos and stuff like that, I was like, I need the money and I'll do anything. If you need me to film like 10 barbers, and I'm doing it, I'm filming it. I'm like, I hate this. I know I can do more. And I think that's the big thing for a lot of people. I know I can do more. I just don't know the path or direction. And so the number one thing I did back then was, if you have a very strong relationship with them, and you already have a rapport, and you don't feel like, it's not like the second time you're working with them. Maybe you've worked with them already for like the last 5-6 months or whatever.
Sure.
Then it's about pitching, hey, we can offer some more. We can do some more. Is there anything that you want to do? Like, is there anything that you're currently trying to, like, what are your goals? What are you trying to sell more of? Do you have any relationships we can also leverage to like maybe be a little bit more strategic on that end to help them kind of elevate as well? And so it feels like it's more of a collaboration and a partnership in terms of, I'm going to sell you a video. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like, do you have, with the barbershops, like, do you have relationships with the scissor companies or like these other companies that might be able to, put some money up so we can actually do something more?
Yeah.
Those are for the ones that, you'll kind of want to push and elevate. We've had a student, Justin, in the group as well for CPM, which is Cinematic Portfolio Mastery. And he had a relationship with like the softball team that he worked with the year before. And they paid him maybe like, I think it was like $2,500 for like a month's worth of work and like it edits all these things. So like underpaid, right? And then he still had that relationship coming into the next year because he already did a great job. And most people, this is a good thing. Most times you guys are going to do great jobs. And that's the goal, right? Because
you hope so.
You hope so, because you're also like, that's the relationship I have. And then he came back to me, Justin came back to me and being like, okay, I want to do more. I want to pitch more. Like, where do I start with this? I'm like, you start with a conversation, right? Talk to them, talk to whoever you know, and be like, hey, I want to do more. Like, I thought last year was amazing. Kind of like fluff it up a bit and be like, I think this deserves more. Sell it a bit, right? Push in your ideas and be like, here's some concepts I have. Like, I would love to hear your ideas and like what you've been thinking about, what you've been struggling with. How can we all benefit from this? And oftentimes they're gonna have secretly, you know, I always ask people this, like what's the number one problem you have right now?
To the clients or to
the client? If you have, I'm saying like if you have that relationship already, it's like, what are you dealing with right now? And they might say something like, the kids' parents wanted more like footage in there into like these like documentary or like these content pieces, or like they wanted to like also purchase and buy stuff too as well, whatever. There's easier ways once you have more information to be like, oh wait, we can find a solution here where, okay, let's shoot more of like a long form doc. It'd be cool. So you can sell this and then their kids can also be a part of it. And because we're shooting so much as a doc, now we can just charge more and we can also just potentially build the clients or build the like parents or whatever. Arbitrary thing, but like really in Justin's case, he just pitched to sell something a little bit bigger. And then with that, because he already has the rapport and the trust, he just like pitched a higher number. And so he was like, I could do like 5K maybe. And it's like that doubling fear, right? Like that $5,000 to $1,000 is the same as like 2,500 to 5,000. It feels like an impossible number away, right? Because you're like, it's only double, but for us, even $500 jumps can feel like a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And so for him, like, just pitch $10,000, and then it's like, see what it is, right? Because you're basing this off of, in some cases, it's easy to just wrap a number up if you don't know all the little details. Because even at that case, anything under $25,000, it's gonna sound a little crazy. It sounds a little, you know, rough for me to say this like this. Anything under $25,000 is like considered very low budget.
Yeah.
Like very low, like you're not really gonna make that much money, especially on a documentary form thing, right? Which is long form, takes you more time, whatever it is.
There's a lot of costs.
There's a lot of costs, and it adds up because if you're the one shooting, editing, all this stuff, and again, I understand there's like levels to this. Like this is probably for more people that are still individuals, small right now, that are looking for like small businesses to build their skills and talk to and get to know how to sell. For those people, $10,000 is probably a big sell to them still, and it's okay because like he did the exact same thing for $2,500 last time. And so this is much more for the recurring client that you're trying to like build a relationship with. If you can sell someone on the idea and what it offers and what the problems and solutions you have for that first before you touch a number, then they're already much more likely to buy just because, right? You don't put a number out there first and then they build their way out there. You could, but that takes a lot more confidence, and you better know what you're saying and doing. In most cases, I always recommend people just like overprice it, you know, in quotation there, like bid higher so you have room to come down on it. You never want to say, you know, I did it for $2,500 last time. Let's do it for $3,500. It's like, it's not really that big of a jump. You know what I mean? Like, you know, all the things that you did to get to that place, and you want to make it worthwhile for your time. And then you'll be much happier if you get closer to that 10,000 than if you just get paid 3,500.
Totally.
And so a lot of times, and this almost works for everyone, so you guys should just definitely do it, is you pitch that higher number. You get over that fear of actually pitching that number, because the number is going to freak you out in the beginning.
Yeah.
To say like $8,500. And then when they're like, we don't have 8,500, but like really we have like 55. And you're like, damn, that's $2,000 more than I was going to pitch originally. And if they're going to completely ghost you, it almost means you didn't sell the initial project hard enough. Because if it is really good and they're sold on the idea, they see the vision, they see where it's going, then they're going to find a solution to kind of find the middle ground.
Yeah, because they still want the product.
They still want the product, right? And so your example of, you know, $500 going up to $1,000, right? Is the ratio of interest big enough for them? Did you sell anything above what was sold last time? Or did you have any type of solution, or like, what was different? Like if you're giving the exact same service, then did you really do anything different from the last time to this time.
Yeah, definitely not. I think this is the very easy thing to fall into, especially when I was starting out. I wasn't really anchoring the price to anything,
Yeah.
right? I knew in the beginning, even like $500, like it was cool at the start. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God, I'm getting paid for this. This is
Yeah.
awesome. But then I very quickly realized, oh, overhead costs are a thing.
Yeah.
And I got to pay my crew and I got to pay for the Uber the way there. And now it's like,
God.
I made $23.
You're just working
off this,
to
right?
give them something.
So now I'm like, okay, if I charge double it, I can make $46. And, and that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right? But then it's like, I'm not giving them a better video, even though I thought the initial video was worth that, let's say.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like I'm delivering that quality.
Yeah.
To them, it's like, okay, well, you just did it anyways. Like, why would I pay you more money?
Yeah. So you just hit the perfect word there. Is I thought I was delivering more quality.
Mm-hmm.
So sales of video is not about delivering more quality. It's about delivering like reliability and trust, and like, can this person execute on what I'm looking for? Sometimes it's not up to you to understand how the marketing side of things equate to the equation, right? It's like, just because you brought on a mini LF or some nice camera,
Yeah.
does that really do anything different for the company that you're working for?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you got to look at it like the story always wins, and then a nicer camera doesn't really add that much. Right. And yes, it makes it look good. I'm not saying it doesn't. Right. But the bigger thing here is especially for small businesses and stuff like that, or companies that you're working with, are you just the right person that they want to work with? And also, there's like a myth here where I can sell the same project to do two different clients, exact same thing. It'll be same crew, same concept, same everything, and one could be for $1,000, and one could be for $50,000, same everything. And people are like, "How's that possible?" One client just has way more money. That's it. And the $1,000 client is going to say, "No, I don't want to do that." They're going to fight you for it and be like, "That's too much money, blah, blah, blah." And then you go to the other $50,000, is like, where do I e-transfer? Where do I transfer this out to?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I wire this money? That's really the problem, right? It's like when you talk to the wrong people, it burns you out.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly you're trying to fight for your worth in the industry, in the space, right? Also, when you're starting to fight in this like lower, smaller region, you're also fighting against everyone else that has a camera.
Yeah.
And so what differentiates you from your abilities? If I have an FX3 and you have an FX3, are we really that different right now? No. But if you have a great idea and I don't even care about that company and I have nothing to really push or sell for them, who's going to win? Mm-hmm. You, because you care.
Exactly.
Right? But the caring needs to manifest and show up in a way where it's very tangible for these people. There's a reasoning. You can sell further than the quality is good. It's like, I think this idea is going to work out great because of X, X, and X, right? These are the three reasons. And I think if you do this properly, you can run these as ads. You can run these as, there's going to be better performing videos and whatever it is. I think of it like your Barbaria thing, right? That you just did. This is one to a spec for he just did for his barber. And if I'm someone that hasn't been there before, I know the general concept of a barber. That's not the problem.
Whoa.
I know, it's crazy. But you're intimately connected to them. Mm-hmm. You care. And so you're going to put much more effort to the time and energy you spend there.
Yeah.
Versus if I went in there, I've done a million barber things. I'm so jaded from it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to touch that with like a 10-foot rod. Would I give as much energy and time to that? And then if we come back for a recurring moment, right? So like maybe 6 months down the line, would they be more likely to work with you again, or would they go for someone new? Mm-hmm. It's like they're clearly going to want to talk to you first before anything. There's like a loyalty built there.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's what we do with spec. It's like we are creating for the sake of showing the world that we have reliability, that we can actually execute on stuff. And so a lot of times I don't even talk about what the brand, like your goal ultimately is not to do more work for the barbershop. Maybe if they suddenly get thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, like a lottery or something like
They're
that.
cutting hair in Dubai.
In Dubai only, yeah. And then like, cool, there's suddenly a different money pocket of like people that want to do that. But how often, here's a perfect question for everyone. How often do you see the highest level $200,000 plus commercials for barbershops?
Yeah.
So if you're in the barber industry right now, you better love getting haircuts or you're just going to be stuck there forever. So look at who is currently making money, what kind of jobs exist out there, and you need to pick a strategic approach to that to get into that space and to start to separate yourself from the rest. After working on over $1 million worth of commercial projects and the 6 years of running Tenfold production, we created Set Memory because this is a place where we found all the best assets that we still use to this day. LUTs made by professional colorist Cameron Marigold, and all these little details that actually speed up our entire process throughout the entire system. And so if you're interested in speeding up your systems and being a better filmmaker today, check out Set Memory.
So this is like completely beyond like the technical skills. Like you really need to be business savvy and understand how to analyze market trends and stuff like that.
When I first started, we had like a community group of like, I don't know, 15, 20 videographers, all the same place. Will we all end at the same place 5 years later? 100% no. Right? Some might stay the same. Some might get a lot better. Some might start working for companies. Some might start their own production companies, blah, 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 blah. We all have the same amount of time, and we all have the same amount of like ambitions to do more in this space. The people that focus on the sales and the marketing and the branding and the business side of things will always outpace the technical creators, because the people that can sell more also have more opportunities to create more, which means they have more opportunities to like test and fail. That's really the game. So here's the problem. You get stuck into this circle of, all right, I'm going to do this $500 project. Last one. Okay. 3 weeks are gone, right? You have to go and prep it, shoot it, edit it. You're fried now. And then what? You just go and chase the other one. And now that's the biggest choke point for everyone, for most cases, freelancers. You're just in this constant chase. And you're like, I actually don't see an end out. And then you just burn out faster. Yeah. And it all comes back down to systems as well. It's like, here's the best, it messes with your mind a lot, because you're creating this thing for $500. You can't even post it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I know this is not what I want to do more of. And so it's not like I want to push this corporate world. This is what happens with people in the wedding industry, as well as like the, corporate work or whatever, is that the wedding industry, if you put out wedding projects, what do people think you are? You're just branded as a wedding person, right? It's just like a first impressions thing, and that's how people perceive you. I don't think a lot of people realize how big perception is in this game, and why we put out work like the Barbaria thing and On Defy and all these things, because it separates you and it puts you in a very specific pocket.
Yeah.
And if you could just do that consistently and build on that, then suddenly that's who you are for now, right? You're always going to evolve and want to do bigger projects and stuff like that. But when you think more barbershop videos turns into a McDonald's ad, that is not what happens.
That is a delusion.
Yes, that is a delusion.
Endemic delusion.
You don't suddenly one day. Here's the thing: if I worked at an agency and I was looking around to see who potentially can execute on the jobs I'm trying to do, I'm going to look for the person that is the most specialized and the person that's done this some version of this project 100 times already. Because I can trust that there's clearly a passion in that space. They care about the industry. And then when we speak, we're probably going to understand exactly what we're going for. Yeah. And so there's like less of a barrier for me to feel like I need to teach this person what running is, right? And especially that's why we get a lot of running projects coming in, because it's like we've presented the whole world that we care about running. And then we do a lot of it. We do a lot of variations of it. And so we show up in the right places. Yeah. If you show the world that you're a barbershop videographer or filmmaker, you're only going to get that. So you want to pick wisely.
At the very least, they can trust that you can actually execute on this project, because it's a lot of money for the agency and the businesses.
It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of decisions, and it always comes down to that. Do I trust this person to make me look good? Right? It's like, it's a self-serving, selfish thing. It's capitalism. It's how the money and world flows. You need to understand how to play the game. And it sucks because I hear it all the time. It's like, I just want to be a creative. If you just want to be a creative, you have to find someone that cares about the business. Yeah. And that's the person you market and grow with, because at the end of the day, you're going to trap yourself, and then you're not going to be able to do this full time, or you're not going to be able to do this consistently or sustainably, because the market's always changing and you need to be on your toes, right? Change at any moment. And if you're just stuck in your ways and you think right? Like we don't think anymore. I think as you know this, we just do stuff to test, right?
Yeah.
And we use everything as we do as a data point to be like, we're going to not do that anymore because that took up too much time or it wasn't worth the value or whatever it is. But we're looking at every opportunity and every like connection point as a decision maker, right? Like, do we want to do more of that or not, right? And in the beginning, I was very driven off of the emotions of it because you think a project comes in, like we always say, I'm going to start doing math now. If I can do 20 of these, we're good. And then as we got into like higher budget range and stuff like that, you're like, oh, if I do one of these, I'm already cooked. And that's with like a full crew and a full team and all these things. Yeah. So even at the higher scale, you still have to manage and understand where the margins are going and where everything is like, am I actually making money based on the time I spend on these projects?
Yeah. So that's actually super interesting. So I want to ask you about that. When was the moment that either you personally or Tenfold as a whole, because I don't really know when this happened within the business, but when did you guys stop chasing that and start moving more like a business? What made you guys make that deliberate change?
You're gonna sit and look at your numbers and realize that, can you do this sustainably? Because even when the projects feel like they're getting a little bit cooler, you still have to take on projects that don't excite you to the bone. You know what I mean? It's like,
tell me more about that.
We still do corporate jobs.
And what does that look like?
We're not doing weddings, right? Yeah. But I actually want to use this as a very good example. There are people out there that do weddings and they charge like $8,000 to $10,000, whatever. Yeah. At this point, it's kind of standard. But then there's like these documentary guys that I follow or saw that they charge $40,000 plus dollars.
Oh my God, dude!
Plus their stay, plus everything is covered, all these things, and they set their terms. Yeah. And so here's the difference. There's generalists, which is you're fighting against all the other wedding videographers, versus you set yourself aside and you become the best in your small micro niche of doing that style of wedding. And you get to set the rates, you get to set your tone in terms of what you want to do and how you want to approach things. And so that's the funny thing. There's people out here doing $1,000 commercials, right? And then that same client will come to us and give us $40,000 to do the exact same thing. What's the difference here? The difference is we have a better brand that is more reliable, trustworthy, and credible, that they rather pay us for the exact same thing. And that other person might do it better because that's just not necessarily our style. Like if there's like a videography style project, they'd probably crush it way better. Yeah. Because we've been kind of away from it for so long that like we're not really in tune with, hyperlapses and stuff anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so you're playing the game here of understanding, how do I separate myself from that person that can only get paid $500? Yeah, for me, when I was selling barbershop stuff, it was like $200-$300. I had like a couple paths here. I can just keep chasing this, and I know deep down I didn't want to do that. And then the other path was I need to trust myself to make the right steps. And so people think that happened overnight. The thing you want to do is actually build it into your time very intentionally. So I was still doing barbershop stuff for quite a while. But I needed to find a way to balance out my life with the barbershop stuff because I was spending so much time there trying to maximize it, putting the most energy into it to try to make it the best. So you doing the best in a bad market doesn't give you anything. So I was trying to make the best barbershop videos. Okay, at max, a best barbershop video gives me an extra $100. That's a terrible ratio of how to spend your time and energy. Yeah. The better option is spend your time doing things that you care about. Spec work, talking to people, meeting new filmmakers, seeing what they're up to, right? Connecting them with the right people that might actually get you better jobs just by knowing you. And then actually go out there and start thinking about creative ideas and all these things that actually set yourself up for success, right? Like you went through CPM as well, which is great. You finished with your Barbaria project, turned out great. Everything is smooth, simple, to the point, and you're already excited to get to the next one. Yeah. You already have like 2 that you're planning, which is awesome.
Don't let the world know.
Yeah, my bad.
Real G's moving silence.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so then like that's my whole point of there's a world out there where people get really stuck in the simple things. Spec shouldn't be difficult. You could do a spec every month if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. And then once you know the systems, like this, exactly, just follow what CPM teaches you. Right. It's like, just follow that steps. You follow it, and then it's like, here's a spec. Right. And all of our students, like, we're working towards a spec, or we're finishing specs. It's like, you need to do that, not only for the spec. You know, I'm sure for you, it's like, because you've been around the space so much, you understand, like, it's not really about the project itself. Like, I'm not trying to sell more barbershop videos. I just needed to get over the hump of stress or fear of like what it takes to actually create something at that scale.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, if that took me a month, I could probably do it in like 3.5 weeks. And I could do it in 3 maybe. Yeah. But then eventually you're going to want to do bigger projects, and then it's going to go back up to that scale. The best thing is that you just know what it takes, and then scale and complexity comes afterwards.
Yeah.
But start simple, you know?
I always attribute CPM kind of like a workout. Yeah. In a sense, and all specs in like a workout, that you're not trying to bench a PR every single time. Yeah. You're trying to get to the gym. Yeah. You're trying to do like 10 sets. Yeah. Of whatever capacity you can lift. Yeah. Right. Comfortably. So that it's not like you're impressing someone every single time, but at the end of the day, you put in the practice. Yeah. So that when you do have to put in the PR, you can.
That's a banger.
Thank you.
That's a banger analogy.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Get some claps for that. Because at the end of a year, you go to the gym in silence. But now you tell people you go to the gym, in our case, because you want people to see you're working. People see you in a year after, and they're like, whoa, what happened? How did you get so jacked? It's like, well, I've been doing something every single day to keep this up. And maybe you haven't seen it, but now that maybe you have seen it, and suddenly they like you because you're like, I don't know, I'm using this as like a relationship or something. Yeah. Right. And some girls like, whoa, you know, but that's the kind of idea of like filmmaking. It's like, sometimes people don't pay attention to you all the time. It's obviously your goal to like remind people that you exist, because that's what marketing and sales is. But then suddenly one day someone's in the market for you, or they're in the market for something, and then you show up as the perfect person because you've locked in for a year and you put in the work, you put in the time and effort, and then you got very specialized in one thing. I don't know. I'm trying to reuse this analogy, but it's getting trickier. Like, they only like calisthenics people, and then you went deep into calisthenics. You know? Yeah, they don't want that general barber. Yeah, they don't want that general bodybuilder, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's stuff like that. It's like, you have to think about this as, what are these small incremental things you can do? Because it can feel so overwhelming to be like, there's a million things I can do. Do I start reaching out to new people? Do I switch industries? Do I whatever? You as a filmmaker are likely looking at a bunch of things. You need to just get a better sense of who you are, so then you can make decisions to lead to that place, pretty much, right? Like, yeah, you can try a bit of everything. I'm sure what's the next one is probably not barbershop related. Yeah. Right. And because you've learned the skills now of like, you know, how to find access, all these little things that we teach, is like, that's kind of the core concept. Now you can just pull that anywhere. Exactly. Right. And then now you can start to shape a little bit more. So you're not going to do 15 steps on this next one. You might just take the 8 steps that you learned from the first spec, and then you're going to add 3 more. Because you're like, I don't need to relearn these skills anymore. It's just about upkeep on those. Now it's like, oh, I could feel like I could explore a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe I care more about specialty. Maybe I care more about story, and you dial in on that. That is the whole progression of this. And I think there's the idea that, oh, you do this for like 2 months and you're good forever. It's like, you do this forever. Yeah. Like, if you're not in this game long term, and you're not thinking 10 years out of like, cool, what scale, like from 5 years from now, I think the project scale is just going to keep going up. Right. And like, this even leads into like a lot of these future conversations about like AI and stuff like that. I'm like, well, we're fine. You know, it's like, people think that it's like, if you didn't have the skills and capacity to do this before, I don't think you're going to do better when AI exists anyways. Right. It's like, AI is just a tool to add on to what you're doing right now. And it's like, allows us to iterate faster, and allows us to like think broader and like more specific as well. So end of the day, it's like, if you don't know the base foundation skills, you're going to get eaten up by AI regardless. You know what I mean? But you need to be so future proof in the sense of like, you know how to speak to clients, you know how to communicate, you know how to like articulate your vision to your team as well as like clients. It's all these little things, but you don't get to that place until you take the first step. Yeah. And the first step is just knowing you need to take a first step. Because if you just like, I don't need to do it, I'm just going to double down on barbershop videos. man, you better become the best barbershop person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's people that are also videographers, but they do it at the highest level. And that's still a specialization because you've found a specific niche within that little pocket that separates you, and there's things that people can't do, right? And so you just think about what you want to do, because it's without that and without knowing you need to take a step, you're just going to go in circles forever.
Okay, cool. So I want to talk about what you guys are doing now and how, because obviously you're not a videographer anymore, and you're operating as a production company.
Yeah.
How do you stay afloat in that sense? Like, what does that look like now?
Yeah. People think we only do super huge commercials, which in the last little bit has been it. But besides that, typically we do still do corporate work. We just don't show people.
Yeah.
And so this is the whole thing with like, at our scale, we have enough work that we can just sell on that and present that. But in the beginning, when you don't have anything, you need to build that up yourself. Mm-hmm. And so like we have like, I don't know, over 50, close to 100 projects under our belt in different spaces, whatever. Which makes it a lot easier to when a new client comes in to be like, oh yeah, what are we looking for? All these things. But when it's not commercial, I think people get that myth. Like they think we only do that stuff.
Yeah. And I feel like that's super easy to misconstrue.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you are presenting yourself as a very specific thing, like Tenfold is very, I don't know, like run centric, narrative centric, right?
Yeah.
It's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people that we do
Other things.
just like a random corporate interview type thing, right? Like how would anyone know that? Because we never show it to people.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, here's the thing, dude. We don't do corporate sit down interview stuff as much anymore. That I will say we've like almost completely removed ourselves from that. When I talk about corporate, at least the corporate stuff feels much more commercial, right? Like they are still going for a specific look and a style and like what we're trying to capture. So like they do care still about our aesthetic and our branding. So that's the separation, right? And that takes a long time to get to.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, because I guess that is kind of like that sweet spot middle ground of you're not necessarily doing the work that makes you want to like gouge your eyes out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like the work that is going to be front and center on your portfolio.
Yeah. Like, okay, going back to that whole barbershop analogy, no one's ever going to pay us $50,000 to shoot a barbershop commercial. Because that's like, I don't know, a couple months of wages plus like their business out of their money and stuff like that. And then what is the return on that for them?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense unless they are branding and doing a huge collaboration with Nike, and Nike's the one that's upfronting the money.
Yeah.
And in that case, yeah, cool. That's where the money's like flowing out of, and it's not out of pocket. Because there's always a scale thing, right? Like I look at how much companies make revenue wise if they're global companies, because it makes sense to understand like where the money is flowing from and how it's kind of like making decisions in that space. But when you look at it, small companies, because we own a business, we understand like where cash flow and money flows from. And so unless there's something that's backing it, that, you know, unless you're selling out like merchandise or a product and then they know there's going to be a return on it, that's the harder thing to sell on for value, right? Let's talk about a shoe company. You sell something for a shoe company, it costs them $1 million. Will they make that money back? Most likely. Right. And that's why they have to choose the right people to work on that project, because there's a direct correlation of how well that does and how much money it brings back to them. When it comes to a barbershop video, you know, let's say $300. $300 is probably profit wise.
Like 6 haircuts.
6 haircuts.
In this economy.
6 to 8 haircuts or whatever. And which means that potentially they have to pay out, if it's just themselves, that means that's like 6 hours of work for them.
Yeah.
And so they're doing math in their head of like, okay, but I could also spend that money on like shoes, you know, or my kid, or could save for a house or whatever it is. As much as you have decisions and those problems to deal with, these people also have those problems to deal with as well.
Yeah.
And so when you get over the understanding of like small businesses, you're almost talking like me and you. It's like, I know you're dealing with problems and I'm dealing with problems, and we're both trying to like battle each other.
Yeah.
Cause you're like, give me money. And then you're like, I'm trying to save money. I don't want to give you money. Right. When you put yourself in the right position and you have a better perception in the world of how people see you, what you offer, what you can do, then the scale of problems increase as well, which is cool. But like sometimes that makes you less money. So example of that, even though we started raising our rates and started getting to projects of like, 50-ish K, for example, let's start there. In the 50-ish K range, you are probably getting to deal with more problems and you're selling a bigger project as well, right? 50K, you can also find clients that it can be a 50K commercial or it can be a 50K content piece. And some are very easy and simple, and some are there's higher expectations. Yeah. The content piece might only cost you $5,000 to create, and that means you pocket the rest.
Oh,
amazing,
hey.
Great project. We love that.
Awesome.
There's maybe some 50K projects where it costs you 50K to make.
No.
Yeah. No. Yeah. One might actually do better for your portfolio, which is the commercial potentially, or the content stuff can be really good for your as well. In our case, a lot of times we get projects that they're looking for a certain quality and they just need to know that we can execute fast and nimble and actually execute on it, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of execution there. There's a difference between hiring someone like us and then hiring someone that is standalone, because it is most of the times just a perception of what we can execute on. Even that person, say they have a great portfolio, say we have the exact same portfolio, just because we're a brand sometimes puts you on a leg up.
Yeah.
Right. It is this persona of like, if an agency or someone that works in an agency or directly to client even needs to present an option for the commercial that they're making, would you rather present Joseph or Tenfold to your boss?
Joseph Inc. over here.
Yeah, it's Joseph Inc. Yeah. So like that's really the game that sometimes people don't think about.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is why a lot of times people start a production company, because you can create separation. But yeah, really back to the idea of how do you find better people and clients? You need to pick an industry first, right? Like pick something that you care about.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about that you can actually be in there forever? Manchester United just lost. Got to rub it in somewhere.
Why do we got to go there?
Just got to get shots in. You could probably talk about soccer or football so much because you have an interest in it.
Unfortunately.
And if you wanted to really like double down and be deep into that space and like only do soccer commercials, you could absolutely get there, right? But are you still doing technical specs right now to learn more skills to get to that place?
Yeah.
So then when you get to there, you're like, I'm just going to do one big banger, and that's going to start to set me in the right foundation of like, hey, I want people to know, I'm like the soccer football guy. Let me take over this space. But until you get to those little like micro steps or like reaching out specifically or having a little bit more confidence in there, it's okay to just be building your skills and your network in the beginning. And then oftentimes, like, you've told me stories where like serendipity of like people that you've met on the soccer field or the pitch or whatever, you've met somewhere else. And then that's the beginning of a relationship, right? That's what you want to do over and over and over again, and put yourself in the right positions to actually have that happen. And so for us, it was like, let's join the run club. Let's just go out there and run, talk to people. That stuff naturally progresses, and then you get a much bigger network. It doesn't happen by you not going to that thing, right? Like you don't sit at home being like, I hope Lululemon reaches out to me.
Yeah.
You're going to get crushed every single time. Like there's someone out there that is willing to reach out and talk to Lululemon and be like, what do you need? I will figure this out and I will make it happen. Every time I've talked to, I think there was the first person that I talked to at Lululemon, friend Serena. So after years of getting to know her too on the back end, she's like, we've talked about you so many times because you were like the number one go-getter in the city.
The hustle.
The hustle was crazy, right? Like if you guys think you can out-hustle me, great. That's the exact energy you need to bring every single day to like do more. Because if I'm working Saturday, Sunday, if I'm working 16 hours a week, how much are you doing? How much can you actually outpace someone else? It's like, that is the kind of grind mentality you need. And it's okay. I work a lot of hours, but there's a lot of things that we have to do to get to that place, and which is why we move so quickly. And like, if you can't do that, then who can you get mad at?
It's just you.
It's just you.
It's just Joseph at Joseph Inc.
Joseph Inc. Don't be a Joseph Inc. Right? Not saying you don't have to like build a whole production company. You can find ways to do that. It's just, that's for another video, because there's so many paths to take, and you need to make a smart decision about taking your path into your own hands. And if you're not going to make a spec, good luck. Because we're still making specs.
Oh yeah.
There's never a time where I'm not thinking about, oh, what's something else that we're doing? And in the meantime, we're doing actual paid jobs. But those paid jobs now lead into new opportunities and new projects and all these things. And so, yeah, there's gonna be times where you're just gonna buckle in and do the project and like get things done. And there's times where you're thinking about like, what is my next steps in my career? What do I do here? And if your idea of that is finding new gear to buy, you are so screwed. Yeah. So that's the main core idea here. Spend time on yourself. Spend time knowing where you want to do. This stuff doesn't just happen naturally overnight.
Yeah.
You're watching us. You're watching other filmmakers go out there and do cool things, and you want to figure out that path. You can do it. You can also figure out ways to like work with us through CPM and cinematic portfolio mastery, pitch to paid. There's so many ways to elevate your skills to that place. And at the end of the day, sometimes you just need a little bump to get there, or you can just figure it out yourself, which is totally fine too, because that's exactly what we did. End of the day, the more important thing is that like you guys are actually going out there and trying, because if you're not doing anything and you're just hoping for it to come, you're going to be screwed in the long run. Sounds very harsh. It is the game. This is filmmaking. You know, people
It's
that
the
try
life.
and put in the energy and time. Juanjo did a spec in a month. You got it done. A lot of our students do a spec in a month, got it done. And it's the more important thing to actually finish a project.
Yeah.
Because I've heard a lot of people say, I'm going to do a lot of spec projects this year. Finish the year with no spec projects. Okay. So like your actions really do speak more than your words. And especially in this industry, showing your work that you're doing, showing people that you're actually functioning and working, gets people excited to work with you. So it's a full circle there. If you guys have any questions, let us know. What's the special word for today if they got to the end?
Well, if you watch this whole video, let us know in the comments, what's the last project you worked on that you're actually really proud of?
That's awesome. Let us know. Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one, everyone. Thanks.
Peace.